Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool high-speed pinball repair video for you today. Now, if you haven't been watching, we've been working on this high-speed pinball machine, and we've about got it ready to go. On the first video, we worked on the playfield, and we touched up some paint, and we waxed it and put new rubbers on it, cleaned everything, and as you can see, it looks really good. It's not perfect, but it looks really good. And on the second video, we replaced a bunch of light bulbs, and we worked on the flippers, and we worked on the display. And so on this, the last things that we have to do to it is we have to work on the boards a little bit. Everything's up and running, but we have to work on the boards a little bit, do a little bit of preventative maintenance stuff, and then we'll be ready to button the thing up. So while the camera was away, we cleaned the cabinet a little bit, touched up the paint a little bit, just minor stuff. As you can see, it's looking great. And at the end of the last video, we had reinstalled our beacon motor that we found inside the cabinet, but it started acting up again. So we've been messing with that a little bit, and the thing screwed up. So we've ordered another motor for it. That will be coming in sometime during the course of this video. Hopefully the mailman will walk in while we're filming, right? But whenever that comes in, we'll pop it in, get the beacon motor working right. But our next thing that we're going to mess with is here in the back box. We got a couple things we need to do. We need to add, I think, we need to look it up, but I think we need to add the safety fuse on these two bridge rectifiers. We need to change a couple caps on this power supply. We need to take out the main board, remove this corroded battery holder, and put a new battery holder in it to get rid of that problem. And that's about it. So we'll work through it a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is we'll pop this power supply out, have a look at it, and see what all it needs. So here's what we've got going on. Remember, everything's working, but we're going to go through and replace the capacitors just because the electrolytic capacitors, they wear out after a while. I think we've got some of these that we ordered last time. So we're just going to refresh it a little bit. We're also going to resolder the pins on the back just so that it makes good contact. It does get cold solder joints sometimes, especially up here around the 5 and the 12 and all that. But this one's already working, so I mean, we're just doing this kind of just so it's freshened up. So, you know, if we replace this cap will last another 20 years, hopefully, or 30 years. They're probably on their last legs. So we'll go through and replace those and see what it looks like. Okay, so we replaced the caps. This one here is kind of important. And there's one of these down here that's kind of important that causes problems too. We've got everything replaced, no big deal. If you need to buy stuff like that, go to our buddies at yorktownparts.com. They sell that cap right there. Is kind of hard. It's kind of a pain to find, but these guys have it, so there, go check them out, and that'll get you going. So I'm gonna put this back in, and we'll make sure that it still boots back up, and if it does, we're gonna work on this connector next, because whenever I took the plug off, it was all crumbling and everything. So we're gonna replace that connector inside the machine. We've done this exact same thing on other videos, but we'll put this back in, turn it back on, make sure that it still boots up and everything's cool, our voltages are still fine, and then we'll work this connector a little bit. Okay, we've got it all back in. Let's turn her on. All right, sounds like it booted back up. It keeps doing that because we don't have the batteries installed in the board. Everything's cool though. So I think we're good. This connector here, you can see it's messed up, man. So we're going to put a new one on there. Basically just cut the wires, crimp them into a new connector, and put it in there. That's for the general illumination. It turns on all the playfield lights that are always on, and it's real common on these that burns up just because there's a lot of AC voltage running through it. So we will I'll get out the crimpers and the connectors and everything, and I'll pop that on there real quick, and then we'll make sure all the lights light up like they should. Put a nice new connector on it. Look how pretty. Look how beautiful. And it got all of our general illumination lights working. Now the ones that are flickering, that was just because it wasn't in test. I mean, it was still in the test mode earlier. But I got it out of that after I replaced the bulb. But as you can see, all the general illumination is back, and it's not all burn up anymore, so hopefully it'll stay like that. And you know, it probably will, because I haven't mentioned it before, but whenever we put in the bulbs, we actually put in the ones that are a little bit cooler. There's two types of light bulbs. The originals were 44s, which are a little brighter, and then they're replaced with 47s, which are a little dimmer and use like half the power. So hopefully it won't burn that anymore. Oh, what happened? What's going on? All right, it wanted to talk to us. Okay, so we've got two things left to do, really. Three things. We've got to put a new motor in the beacon. We need to mess with the board a little bit. But over here, there's a little issue. On these games, the ones up to like System 11 or something like that, these two bridge rectifiers that are mounted here, there's a problem where it's not designed right. If that bridge rectifier screws up, and they do, if that thing shorts, there's no fuse on this line going to it on this side of the transformer. So there's a big transformer in the bottom, and it has a fuse on it, but it's on the other side of the transformer. So the transformer gets power in, it makes a bunch of other voltages that come up here. Well, two of those voltages run through these two bridge rectifiers. If one of these bridge rectifiers shorts, it starts sending a bunch of, I think the way that works is it's a lot of amps, like a lot of amperage goes through the line, and it's not strong enough to blow the fuse on the other side of the transformer. It'd be very hard to do that. So what it does is it starts melting the wires. So the wires, and I even did a video on here of one of them that it did it while I had it. The damn thing did it, just turned on. So the way that you fix that is there are AC lines on these. So on the actual bridge rectifier itself, two of the lines are marked as AC. Pretty sure it's these two red ones and these two blue ones. So you take one of those AC lines, they both come from the bottom. So you take one of the blue lines, for instance, on this one, and you run it over here to a fuse, run it through a fuse, and then back to where it was. And then you do the same thing with the red one on the top. And by doing that, you've now put a fuse in there that can blow if it gets too much voltage. I'll look up what the amperage is supposed to be before we put them all the way in, but for now I'm going to go get two fuse holders just like this. We're going to attach them to the side of the cabinet, and then we're going to snip the line, run it through that into it, just to add two fuses. Okay, so we added our two fuse holders with 8 amp fuses. Apparently whenever Williams redesigned it later and started putting them in, they put 8 amp fuses. So I also wrote 8 amp slow blow and pointed kind of towards the fuses. So in case somebody finds it later, they'll know what they're looking for. You can see on these other ones there are little tags that tell you what each fuse should be. So I made my own with a Sharpie. All right, so we got that knocked out. So the only thing really, besides the motor, the only thing really left is this main MPU board. And that's the scary one. All right, so I'll unplug everything and we'll pop it out and look at it. All right, so we took the board out. This is our corrosion that we're starting with. Hopefully most of this will clean up. It's not too bad. I don't like that we're seeing like a mess on the surface of these chips. That's kind of weird. It seems like everything's working. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take this off, and then we'll see how bad it looks underneath it all. Okay, so here we go. Underneath it, I think we're fine. There is some weird stuff going on the top of the chips, but the actual pins look pretty good, so I'm not worried about that. And then the top up here, there is a little bit of stuff starting to go on, but we're gonna clean that up a little bit. Basically, the way you clean it up is you sand it lightly to get off some of that nastiness. First, I'll just wipe it off, and then you sand it lightly, and then you put a little bit of vinegar on it, kind of brush it on there to neutralize the acid. Vinegar's a base. No, I got that completely backwards. You put a little bit of vinegar on it to neutralize the base. Vinegar is an acid. And once you do that, you rinse the vinegar off, clean it back off, and then you're good to go. So I'll start cleaning it up a little bit and we'll see how it works out. Okay, so we cleaned it up, we sanded it just a little bit, and most of it cleaned off just by doing that, and we didn't go too crazy with the sanding because the lines are so small, you know, I hate to like just go nuts on them. And then I wiped a little vinegar on them. I don't know if that had much effect at all, but again, it's a still working board, so I don't know. We'll have to keep our eyes on it. You can see though, it did get pretty bad on one of the things, which I believe was that one. So I don't know, people, will have to keep our eye on it. So now we're going to make sure that never happens again, and I'm going to on the Williams arcade games, I've been putting these little button batteries in them, and on this one it'd be really easy to do. So the way they had it set up, where there was 3 AA batteries on there, and so if you put a watch battery, it doesn't leak like the alkaline batteries do. So you can get this little holder, and just your standard holder will fit in 2 of those little things. So if you look, the way they made this work. Oh, and by the way, on the back, there's no kind of issues at all with the corrosion or anything. So I don't know. So the way it worked with the batteries was there's a diode here, and so the positive from the batteries, the diode is so that the board, whenever it's booted up to 5 volts, doesn't send power back into the batteries because it would make them do crazy stuff. And so since this lithium battery doesn't want voltage going back into it either, you can't recharge it or anything, you leave the diode in there. So the diode faces the positive terminal of the battery. And so the way they had it with the battery holder was there would be, the batteries were in a line, so it's plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. And so this would be the negative terminal, and this is the positive terminal. Well, if I put this little battery holder in, I can't remember which one's positive. I think this one. If I put this little battery holder in, it's cool, we can put a battery in, and the positive will be connected over to the diode like it should be, but the negative won't connect all the way over here to the negative because it doesn't have the body of the batteries that it's running through. So what you have to do is the negative will now connect to here, so you have to put a jumper wire from here to here. And if you do that, you can now put just a little button cell battery in it. So we'll do that. I'm going to resolder the connectors on the edge, all of these pins, because they get cold solder joints or little broken spots on the end. Let me see if I can find one that's like that so I can show you what it do. So I can show you that it really do be like that sometimes. I don't see any that are really bad. Let me shine a little light on the situation so we can see better. Those all look good. Those look good. Those look good. I mean, they look good, but they likely still need it. I'd love to find one that's messed up so I can say, I told you so. No, all these look good. So this board probably hasn't been in and out of the game much, because if you remove those connectors a lot, it starts, the end pin on each one starts breaking loose from the board just from the physical tug of war that's going on there. But we'll rethaw all that stuff. We'll put the battery holder in it, put a battery in it, and then we'll install it back on the board since it's already still working. Sometimes people will replace some of this stuff. Look, if it ain't broke, I don't fix it. You got a little bit of a hack going on here, but they probably did that because they messed up the trace. So, same thing. I mean, it's up and running. I'm leaving it. None of these are testing bad in the solenoid test or anything. I guess we could remove the socketed chips and clean the legs, put them back in. So maybe we'll do that. We'll put our battery holder on it and a battery. Only thing about the button battery is it's a you know, whenever there were 3 batteries, it was 4.5 volts. But with the button battery, you're down to 3.6 volts or 3 volts, whatever it is. But it's the whole purpose of that is it sends voltage over to the RAM chip somewhere to hold the settings and everything. And it doesn't need, I think it needs 2.5 volts or something like that. So you can replace it with the little button cell, and it works just fine. We'll test that theory here shortly. You can also get like a RAM chip that you solder in, and they're blowing me up on the phone tonight, people. You get a RAM chip that you solder in, an NVRAM chip that doesn't need a battery, so that's a good option too. Or you can put, what we've done in the past is you can put another one of these holders, a good new one, back in it, and put a remote. They'll put little dowel rods that pop into here, but have a little contact on a couple of them, and a couple wires where there's a battery holder that you can mount off the board on the wall of the cabinet, so that if the batteries ever leak, they don't leak all over the board like this. Or what we've done before too is you put a brand new battery holder in it, and then you put batteries back in it, and then you just make sure to tell everybody, look, change the batteries or it's going to cost you $400 for a new board. Oh, holy crap, look what I just noticed. What in the world? Did y'all notice that earlier and didn't tell me? Why didn't you say something? Yay, I've got something to fix. Now I don't feel like an idiot for removing it from the, well, I had to remove it from the cabinet to mess with the corrosion stuff. Okay, so I don't know what that's all about. We're going to have to figure that out. What the hell is that? That don't look good. Look at this right here. That's not good. Yeah. Let's look at the manual and see what that is. It's Q75. So what's not working on my game? Q75. Okay, so in the manual they have this little chart that conveniently tells you everything. The driver transistor, we're looking for Q75. There it is, and it is to the left kicker. So the left kicker has fried that thing on the board. Now, I don't know if it's still messed up or not, so let's go look at the machine. Okay, so here's the left kicker. Now, if you'll go back and look at the second video, whenever I was messing with this playfield, the left kicker was sticking. And so I took the whole thing apart, and then inadvertently, whenever I put it back, I just watched the video back. Whenever I took it apart, see how the coil is coming out this side on this right kicker? On the left one, it was also doing that. The wires were coming out this side. And so not even thinking about it, whenever I put it back like this, because that makes more sense to me, because since these are opposite each other, I just, without even thinking about it, put it where the wires came out this way. But originally they were going out that way. So I wonder if that's because somebody had already replaced it, or if just that solenoid being, the nylon sleeve in there being messed up was making it overheat or something. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is we're going to test it. And it's really easy to test a coil. So I've got my multimeter on resistance, and we're going to check across these two wires. 0.7, that's no bueno, amigo. Okay, and now just to check, you can just do another one. So this one is 3.7. Let me reverse it though, just in case it was the diode. It might have been measuring across the diode and it messed me up. Nope. No matter which way I do it on this one, I get 3.8, 3.7, something like that. Let me go the other way just again to make sure. Yes. So on this one, when you measure it, you get 3.8. On this one, when you measure it, 0.7. That coil is shorted. Showing up, and that's something you can do with all the coils in the game if you want, like this one up here, which is the ball kicker. Get something similar. This one down here, it's got a different part number, so it's a little different, but when you check it, you're up over 5 ohms. So basically, flippers will be really low. Sometimes they're like less than 2. That one's 4. 6. Okay, so they're not that bad. But if you get down below like 1 ohm on a coil, it's shorted and burn up, and it'll blow the fuse. So that's your issue. So we have a shorted coil. It could be the diode too, but we'll check that. See, that one's good. A lot of times you get pop bumper ones that are burned up. The reason you get a lot of pop bumper ones burned up is because they'll burn up, nobody fixes them because the game still plays. Now if you get one where it's really high, like, or it's just it's not even connected, that coil's bad too, but it's not going to burn anything up. It won't work. So all of them are similar. Okay, so it looks like all the rest of them are good, but yeah, that one's messed up. So I'll go grab one. I'm sure we've got that coil. 23-800. The -03 I think has something to do with the way that it's mounted or something. But I'll go see if I can find that coil. 23-800-03. Let's see what we got. I wonder if there's one on this random extra complete high-speed playfield that I have here. I wonder if there's an extra coil I could steal off of that. I got the thing we were talking about. And whoop. Yeah, baby. All right, so I'm gonna swap it out. Okay, so we got our battery in. We replaced the BDX53 IC, a transistor there. We replaced the kicker, and we turned it on. And it is coming up to where it says factory setting. And the reason that it does that is because the battery has died, So we're going to press the advance button on the test menu. And you're going to go through all the audits. There's a shortcut through this, but basically all the audits are zeroed because the battery's dead, or was dead. Or we're missing, I should say. And eventually you're going to get to the adjustments. Okay. Now if you want to go back, if you press this down and then press it, it goes backwards. Okay. So it will set it on the factory settings when it resets. So all of the settings that are in there right now are how it was set from the factory. So that's fine with me. But we probably want to put it on free play. So let me see if I can find that. And you can see you can change all this stuff. Take the match feature on and off. You can make it 3-ball or 5-ball. Tilt warning, the maximum extra balls you can get, the maximum credits the game can have, the highest scores, backup high score 2, backup high score 3. So basically there's a button in here you can press that resets the high scores. Very easy to do. And if you do that, it goes to the backup high scores. How many credits you get for high score number 1, 2, 3, 4. High score reset every 6,000 plays. So I guess it'll automatically do it. All right, so here's what we want. Free play, it's on no. I'm gonna hit the start button. Free play's now on yes. And that was what we wanted to change. So you can change just a whole bunch of the stuff from the special memory. I don't know what that is. Police light on. Ours isn't working right now. And so there's all kinds of things you can change. What was that one about siren? That's kind of neat. Siren style, USA or Euro. That's pretty neat. Custom message on. Unused adjustment. Install the add a ball mode, install the 5-ball mode, install the novelty mode, install extra easy. So what they're saying there is, if you put it on 5-ball, you might want to change like some of the way things score and things like that, And so they've got a preset bunch of different adjustments that it changes if you do that instead of just changing. You could just go in and just make it play 5 balls, just change that one setting. But in the manual, they're suggesting that, hey, if you do make it 5-ball, you want to change this, and you want to make this point thing work different. You want to make it where It doesn't remember what point level you were at whenever this, blah, blah, blah. So if you do that, it just automatically installs, all, sets everything to what they recommend. So you can automatically set everything to extra easy, easy, medium, hard, extra hard. Auto burn in will just make everything on the game do its thing and sit there and test. Clear the coins, clear the audits. And so the last adjustment is adjustment number 70. And so if you turn it to start and your battery isn't dead, you were just going into the test menu, you could click that and it would set everything to factory settings. But after you advance past setting number 70, you go out into the game. So now you're in a track mode. Now if it comes up and it's in the test menu like that, whenever it comes on, like it had done earlier, a way that you can get by it is, instead of stepping through all that stuff, if you're in the audit, see it says AU, you can press the button down and go back a couple steps until you're into the settings. So you're in adjustment 70, press the button back up, and then go forward past 70, and it puts you into a track. So I think we got all the boards working. We got all of our little preventative maintenance stuff done. We're waiting on that light at the top, and I got to bring up the back glass. So we'll do that. We're also waiting on instruction cards for it. So we'll test that battery and see if it's working. Now you've seen every time I turn this on, it comes up into the test mode. So I'm going to turn it off for a couple seconds and just make sure that it's draining all of the voltage out of it. The capacitors hold a little bit of charge. So everything's turned off. So now we're going to turn it on and see if we come up into the test mode or if we come up into the gameplay. All right. So what's that tell you? It saved the settings. Our battery is working. And I don't see any issues. We've still got to play it. So, but we got time to do that. We'll do that on the end of the video. But we just about got it. So I need to bring up the back glass. We need to work on the topper to get the motor that spins. We need to put our apron cards on. And that'll be about it. Our buddies at Marco's Specialties came through for us. So we got rubber rings that we were running low on. We got more flipper sleeves that we were running low on. Shooter tips that we were running low on. We got the instruction card. And this, our new motor. Look at that. It looks exactly like the old motor. $34. That's not bad at all. So now we got to try to put it in. So this is the left flipper button. It's your Williams translucent red button. And here is the right flipper button. At some point, the translucent button broke off and they stuck a red button in it and put a screw in it to hold it all together, and it works. Look at that crap. It works, people, but it don't look good, so we're gonna swap it. Pretty wild. Looks like it's 1985 again. Okay, and then on the back glass, there's a little issue. If you look, see how you can see above the display, the displays, and they're a little bit low in relation to the back glass. I'll pop the back glass back off and show you how you fix that. This is the original glass that was in this game, still in very nice shape. It's got a couple little nicks. Those happen just from, touching. It might have, well, I don't know how it got over there, but sometimes it'll touch something on the back box board and it'll do something like that. So basically this board here on the back, the light panel, is a little bit too low. And sometimes they sag over the years and you can adjust a couple hinges over there, but this one actually locks pretty good and everything, so I don't think it's necessarily sagged. If you look at the bottom, I guess it's barely touching it, so maybe it's sagging a little bit. right? So the thing is, this board is just too low. But there is an adjustment on it. If you look over here on this bottom hinge, see all these little washers? You can take those off and put them under that thing and it'll lift it up a little bit. So we're going to do that. And lift it up in the air and see if that makes it line up a little better. Okay, so that's how the back glass turned out. It looks great. Look at that. This was the first pinball, I believe, with alphanumeric displays where they could actually put letters on there. I believe. I may have that wrong, but I don't think I do. And this back glass was by the great Python Angelo. And so at the top it says high speed in kind of like a orangish red motif, orangish yellow. And then you've got this whatever car here that says Kingpin. And so Steve Ritchie, the designer, was the king of pinball. Everybody knows that. And that does look like Steve Ritchie sitting in the driver's seat. And then you've got his date going, oh no, because the cops are following him. Look, they're following him, people. And you've got these great facial drawings that Python was great at. Look at that. And then check this out, 146 miles per hour. So Steve Ritchie tells the story and says that he was flying down the freeway one time and the cops got after him in his Porsche and he just floored it and got up to 146 miles per hour. I never read the whole thing though. I don't know if he got caught or not. He's still alive, so he got out of it one way or the other. And then this guy, boy, he's frantic about it. Speeder 1, Speeder 2, Speeder 3, Speeder 4. Okay. And then over here, he has a warrant list, official.
Okay, buddy, come over.
Well, we ain't doing nothing, officer. If they say put your hands up, put your hands up, people. You can explain it in court. Warrant list, official police publication, February 13th, 1986. License plate number Kingpin. Instructions. Issue an all points bulletin on site. Apprehend. If it says LED 218, he's armed and extremely dangerous. If it says MA 40, he's wanted for auto theft. CO something, 2,085 parking tickets. This guy's wanted for reckless driving, armed robbery, something across state lines, stolen goods, something in espionage, trafficking, theft, whatever. And it's also mirrored. There's mirrored effects on it. And of course there is an actual rear view mirror up in the top. Wow. And then the other thing I was reading on the pinball database is that this A8W11S81, the guy that did the artwork for the playfield was not Python. Another guy did that. And that's the date of his son's birthday. So this was 86. His son would have been 5 years old at the time, or 4 years old at the time. August. It came out in early 86, so he would have only been 4. And then you got the same thing going on over here. And then another thing, the designer, according to the Internet Pinball database, said that Steve Ritchie or somebody told him that green was unlucky on pinballs, that pinball machines that had a lot of green on them, it was unlucky. But he really wanted to do all the trees and everything. This thing's covered with trees. And so he put all the trees in, and then he put a 4-leaf clover somewhere. I don't know if we can find it or not. But somewhere there is a green 4-leaf clover. I do not see it. somewhere there is a green 4-leaf clover, and this game, of course, was one of the best-selling games ever. So he assumed that the 4-leaf clover broke the horrible, evil, bad curse of having green on a pinball machine. I don't see it on here. If I find it, I'll show it to you. But interesting little things. We've about got it going. The only thing we have left is we have to put that beacon on the top. Okay, so here's the old one, here's the new one. Looks like an exact match. Now, unbeknownst to the viewers, I took this all apart, worked on it for like 3 freaking hours the other day, and thought I had it, man, I thought I had it. I did not have it. The wire was broke right where it goes into the coil. And so I thought, oh, for sure, that's it. That was not it. It came on and it started working. The gears, I cleaned all of them and greased everything, put it all back together, and it ran for a little bit, and then it would stop running again. So there's just something in it that's not quite right. I couldn't get it. I thought for sure I had it, but I did not. So we're going to put this back in. We're going to put this new one in and see if it is consistent. Instead of just working every once in a while. But it's real simple. You take these 2 screws off, you take this little set screw out, and then do the opposite. And then I'm going to have to crimp some new pins to go into this housing, but I've got those, so I'll crimp them back together. 24 volts comes up and runs the motor, and at the same time that the motor's on, the same 24 volts is giving power to this light bulb. So the light bulb is on. Anytime the light bulb's on, the motor should be turning, and anytime the motor's turning, the light bulb should be on. So I'll swap it out real quick. I'll crimp a new connector on with all 4 wires, and then we'll put it back in the machine and try it. We got the little sign, the topper mounted, got the new motor in, and now we're waiting for the light to turn on. You can go into the test menu, but it only turns it on for a second in the test menu. But during a track, it does the whole shebang. Yeah! How many times have we done this now, though? I'm not going to play the music again. Not going to do it, folks. But I think we're going to be all right now because we have a brand new motor in it. So I think everything's cool. Still spinning. It's like a little Energizer bunny up there. All right, the only way we're going to be able to break everything on it is to play it. Nothing ever breaks while you're just looking at it. So you have to put the glass in it, button everything down so that it's really hard to fix anything easily, and then it'll break. So we're going to try that. If I'm going to guess what's going to break, I think this black thing will fall off eventually, the little stoplight thing. But everything else seems pretty good. And yeah, as you could hear, I turned up the sound a little bit, so we'll play it a little bit. So the switch over here might be messed up. I don't like the way it peeled rubber. I don't think it's supposed to do that until it comes off that switch. Whoa. Nothing. I got nothing there. So I just hauled off. I think it's because that switch isn't right. We're going to have some more stuff break though, because I can easily reach that switch. So through the going door. The flippers are nice and strong. That one's smooth. The right one, it looked like it bounces a little bit off the end lane. Look. No, it's all right. Never mind. You want the ball to be able to roll smoothly onto the flipper. Sometimes those things get all bent up and it bounces a little bit off the end of the flipper. That was kind of a skill shot, a little bit. Oh, it's telling me to run the red light. Let's do that. Kick back. Oh, we didn't get to do it. I'm gonna look at the outlane switch real quick. All right, I cleaned the switch. Let's try this again. That's better. Come on now. What was that noise? You kind of had to get good at making that loop shot up there with the top right flipper. Oh no! Oh no! There is this mode in this thing that once the cops get on top of you, they turn on their light, which is the light on the back box, but there's a searchlight that they turn on the playfield even though there's no searchlight. And the lights start sweeping back and forth across the playfield. It's one of the most incredible light shows on these early machines, at least. It makes you wonder how they even did it. I'm gonna have to watch it in slow motion one of these days to figure out exactly what they did. Alright, that game sucked. Let's play another one. Kickback will save me. The kickback will save me. I kind of need to get it up there to those pop bumpers so it'll hit that green flashing. Oh, I keep messing that up. Man, I'm right on it, but it won't quite get it. Come on now. Work with me. Come on. So I can't tell. The kickback didn't work one time. I don't know if that was a problem or not. And then I felt sure that every time you make that ramp, let's read the instructions just to make sure I'm doing this right. Make stoplight targets to change ramp stoplight from green to yellow to red. Eject hole and ramp, spot the spotlight lamp. So it didn't do that last time. So there might be a switch on that ramp that I need to look at. But we'll keep playing. There we go. That was a little better. Come on now. This might be the one, people. This might be the one. So close. Oh man, I thought that was it. Oh, come on. Come on. Okay. So here we go. So the ramp's gonna spot me that yellow, and then I just need my 3 reds. If I can do those all in ball 2, I'll be able to run the red light at the beginning of ball 3. Okay, that's gonna spot me 1. Oh, we're there already. We're there already. All we gotta do is run it. Ooh. So I gotta set up that top right flipper. It's the only way to run it. Here we go. No, it didn't go all the way. Okay. Nope. Damn. I gotta get the ball up there to that top loop. It's waiting on me. Come on now. Here we go. Nah, it pops. Did you see that? It wasn't smooth. I gotta get that. I gotta get the loop. Nope. Here we go. No, it didn't go all the way. Come on. Almost. I went halfway up the ramp. Okay, here we go. So now, it's the beginning of the 3rd ball, and unless I screw up the skill shot, the plunge shot, we're going to run the red light on the ramp as soon as I plunge the ball, which is going to mean the cops start chasing us.
Dispatch, this is 504. Suspect running a red light, over. Roger, 504. Apprehend him. Dispatch, this is 504. We're in pursuit, over.
Oh, come on. Well, we didn't get to the cool searchlight part. I'm gonna play one more time, see if I can. All right, so we got our green lights already. Come on, jump over there and hit it. Nope, it missed it. Come on. Come on now. All right. So I got 4 lights that time. Oh, come on. All right, I got that one. That's 5. I'm gonna start counting individual lights. That's 6. That's 7. Oh. Oh, I barely missed it. That's 8. That's 9. I need to run the red light. Come on, let's run the red light. Ooh. All right. It's ball 3, people. So, the plunge is going to run the red light. That's going to get the cops after me. And we may get this cool, if you get in a certain mode, you get this cool searchlight thing where the cops are looking for you. It's amazing.
Dispatch, this is 504. Suspect ran the red light, over. Roger, 504. Apprehend him. Dispatch, this is 504. We're in pursuit, over. Dispatch, suspect in sight.
He's in sight.
Okay, buddy, pull over.
Oh, come on, man. Anyway, well, there you go, folks. That's Williams' awesome high-speed pinball. I think I'm gonna clean a few switches so they're a little more responsive. Some of the time, whenever it was going to the pop bumpers, they didn't kick. It's just because it's not pushing. Whenever the ball's rolling really slow, it doesn't push the little thing down very far. So if you make the switches a little closer underneath the playfield, it makes it where if it just barely touches it, it pops off. But most of the other stuff, the switches all seem fine. I don't know. So I think we're pretty good. I'm just going to make the pop bumpers a little snazzier, and I'm going to check the slingshots to see if they're scoring every time because they don't make a sound. So I don't know if that's because they're not working or if it's just not designed like that. But that's something I'll look into. But all in all, the thing's working great. So I hope you enjoyed the series. Leave your comments below. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film all this for you and have a little fun with you tonight. And we will see you on the next video. Yeah! That's too cool. This was the 80s, people. It was this damn cool in the 80s.